Hi and welcome back. Today we are going to discuss Chapter 7, Creating a Flexible Organization. In Chapter 7, we took a look at organizations as they relate to business management. Two important concepts here are organizational culture and organizational structure. For instance, organizational structure determines how well the organization makes decisions and responds to problems. Organizational structure also can influence employees' attitudes toward their work. Because it so profoundly affects the success of organization, this chapter will examine organizational structure in detail. We also will discuss organizational culture and some of their types. And finally, we will explore major concepts behind organizational structure. So let's get started. So we have been talking about businesses, but we haven't talked much about organizations. So what are organizations? Organizations are stable social relations. They are deliberately created with an explicit intention of continuously accomplish specific goals of purposes. Organizations can be for profit, but they can also be for non-profit. They can be in many different spheres such as government, religion, social, and cultural impact. One of the most important aspects of organizing a business is determining its culture. By culture here we mean a firm's shared values, beliefs, traditions, philosophies, rules, and role models about how to behave. It could also be called corporate culture. An organizational culture exists in every organization, regardless of size, type, product, or even profit objective. The other important concept is organizational structure. And here we mean by organizational structure the arrangement or relationship of positions within an organization. Rarely is an organization or any group of individuals working together able to achieve a common objective without some form of a structure, whether that structure is defined explicitly or implicit. It's important to realize that getting people to work together efficiently and coordinating skills of diverse individuals require careful planning. So you can imagine that for managers, developing appropriate structures and cultures is a major challenge in both large and small organizations. An organizational culture is commonly referred to be in the form of an iceberg. In an iceberg, a small part is visible and a massive portion is unseen. However, if the unseen part is not considered, it can sink any organizational change attempt. A firm's culture might be expressed formally through the mission, code of ethics, manuals, ceremonies, but is more commonly expressed informally by this unseen part, through tradition, values, and unwritten rules. Other examples of informal expressions of culture include dress codes or, for instance, the lack of dress codes, work habits, extracurricular activities, and stories. So you can imagine that employees learn these accepted standards and rules through discussions with other co-workers instead of formal training. So how important do you think is an organizational culture for the success of business and organizations in general? Here, a famous scholar and consultant called Peter Drucker famously said, "Culture eats strategy for breakfast." This indicates how important organizational culture can be in the success of a business. So I ask you, in a sentence or two, please tell me what do you understand from this sentence. Leave your comments below. So we are all familiar with Walt Disney, right? This company embraces a corporate culture that focuses on the guest. It is all about putting a show for park visitors. Employees are even referred to be cast members. It does this through a strong organizational culture. Then, organizational culture can help ensure that all members of Disney share values and suggests rules for how to behave and deal with problems in this organization. An important part of organizational culture that we need to understand is its artifacts. Artifacts are observable symbols and signs of culture. There are physical structures, for instance, that are artifacts. Ceremonies, language, and stories are also artifacts. Artifacts maintain and transmit an organization's culture. It's not easy to understand them, and you need many of them to understand how the culture works. For instance, Zappos is an interesting company. It's an online shoe and clothing shop based in Las Vegas. It's owned by Amazon. But more than selling shoes and clothing, Zappos is focused on its customers. These are the 10 company's values that Zappos embraces. And if you see, for instance, number 3, create fun and a little weirdness is not a common company value that you would expect. Also number 10, be humble. There are many stories that show how this company embraces these values. For instance, it's known that Zappos could send flowers to a customer whose mom passed away. As I said, buildings are artifacts of organizational culture. So does anyone know what these buildings are? If you think about a futuristic city on a strange planet, well, you are a little bit far off. The one in the top here, this one, is the model of the new headquarters of Apple in Cupertino, California. And this one, the one in the bottom, is the buildings of Alibaba. So buildings, of course, talk about culture in the organization. Here we have one very common building for us, the building of Sawbridge. So as such, the building helps reinforces certain behaviors in us, the participants of Sawbridge. So to finalize the insights on culture, let's discuss some of the culture types or themes. These are 4 of the most common corporate cultures. The first one is called networked culture. It's characterized by trust and friendship among employees, a strong commitment to the organization, and an informal environment. The second one is a fragmented culture, which is characterized by employees not being friends. The employees have a strong sense of the self, and they think that they work at, not for the organization. And employees have a lot of autonomy, flexibility, and equality. The other one is the mercenary culture. In the mercenary culture, employees are not friends. They are very goal-oriented and even obsessive in achieving their goals. They are also intense and focus on determination and keep relationships out of work. And the last one is the communal culture. In the communal culture, the values are friendship, commitment, and focus on performance and high energy. You enjoy teams in the organization, lives revolve around the product, and success is celebrated by all. So my last question here is, how would you characterize the culture in Uber? You can check some of the last news about this company because that might help you form your answer.